Alright guys, this is the sweep example for Advanced CAD DDT 2343 for East Central Community College. My name is Chris Riles and I'm your instructor. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this that you see on the screen. I've already given a handout for class so you can see this is what I wanted drawn. Now, this looks kind of simple, it's kind of strange, and let me explain a little bit about it. First off, the angled line over here with the 75 degrees, this is going to be the tilt of our swept object. So this is like looking at a side view, and then we have the front view over here with dimensions of 18, 19.64, and 12. Now what I've got here is I've got center lines that are marking the ends of our control points, and then the control points here are set in blue. So what you needed to do is you needed to set your point style, you needed to make some points. You needed to place them at the locations shown here on the screen. There's a point at each midpoint of the 18 and the 12 lines, one at each end, and then on the 75 degree line over here in the side view we have a node at each end. So what we're going to do from this is we're going to create a swept object, and what we're going to do is do a front end of a frame for a motorcycle. So that's kind of the plan. So what we're going to do is first I'm going to turn off my dimension layer. I just left that on there so that you could kind of see what's going on. We'll turn it off. So now we have this kind of interesting looking side view and front view. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to select my side view, select everything, and I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to right click, go to clipboard, and go to cut. You can also press Control plus X. This will also cut, so you could go about it either direction. It's going to disappear from the screen and you're going to wonder where it went. Well, I'm about to tell you where it went. First thing, let's look at our X and Y axis, our UCS. Our UCS is set up in World by default. If you look at what we have here, we have an X and a Y, and what we want to do is we want to tilt the XY axis ever so slightly so that we can draw in another plane. And we've already done this before numerous times. You may have used a face, or you may have used a view option, or some other form of that. What we're going to use is we're going to use the X, Y, and Z axis to shift the UCS along. So I'm going to type UCS. I'm going to hit enter. We've got several options down here at the bottom. The option that I want to go with is I want to rotate along the Y axis, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So I'm going to press Y, enter. And I'm going to rotate 90 degrees, exactly what the default is. So I'm going to hit enter. We enter one more time. Notice we have a YZ. Now if I turn the object, this is now our XY axis. So if I go back to what we had, this is what we had, this is where we are now, X and Y. I'm going to turn on free orbit and kind of rotate a little bit so we can see a little bit of the view like this. Alright, so now I have, as you can see, everything's still there, but that angled line's still missing. So what I want to do is I want to paste that angled line into our drawing. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to clipboard, and I'm going to go to paste. Now you can also do Control and V at the same time. It does the same thing. It's going to say specify an insertion point. I'm just going to click somewhere to make sure it inserts itself. Now I'm going to select the entire angled piece that we just pasted in, and I'm going to move it using the move command. So I'm going to type M, enter. I'm going to move it along this node at the top, and I'm going to attach it at the midpoint of this node. Now the reason I did that was we want our angled piece for the sweep to be connected like this. We want to use this angle of this pasted line as our sweep angle. This is going to be pretty important. Okay? So it should look something like this now. If it doesn't look something like this, back up the video, start all over again. Alright, so I've pasted this in. Alright, first things first, what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to change my UCS back to what it was before. So you can use UCS, I'm going to type UCS, enter. I can type P for previous, P, enter, and it'll go back to the UCS that I had used previously. Okay, I could also do UCS world, and it would be the same thing. Okay, so either option, either previous or world, either one works. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw another line. So I'm going to open up the line command. I'm going to make sure I'm using my center line layer. Use the line command. I'm going to just draw it out here in space. I want to have polar on, and I want to draw a line that is 12 units long. Okay. Hit escape. Here's my line that is 12 units long. Alright, I want to move this line along its midpoint, and I want to attach it at the end of the pasted line right here. Now what this has done for me is this has given me a line that's exactly the same as the one on the front here. It's just now on this pasted line. Okay. I now have all of my points together to perform the sweep. All I need now is my 3D polyline. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to name the layer 3D Poly. I want to change the color to a bright green, and I'm going to make sure my line type is continuous. Alright, I'm going to close the Layer Properties Manager. I'm now going to change my toolbar from drafting and annotation to 3D modeling. This gives me a lot more options. It also gives me a readily available icon for the 3D polyline. And AutoCAD is going to do some shifting here, some changing. Now we see that our toolbar, our tool ribbon is very different. There's other different tools that we were not able to see readily before. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my layer. My layer is moved over here, and I'm going to change my layer from centerline to 3D poly. I'm now going to turn on the 3D polyline command. If you'll come up to where the draw tool ribbon is and go up, you'll see a little spring looking shape, and that's the 3D polyline. You can draw polylines along a path that are in 3 dimensions. For the 3D polyline, you do not need to have a certain UCS defined. The 3D polyline is able to go through whatever UCS you're using, and since we're only using this as a path and we're not extruding anything, this is okay to do. So I'm going to start from this point right here. We'll zoom in a little bit. Start from right here at the end point. I'm going to click. I'm going to come down to the end point of my 12-inch line that's on the back side. Click. I'm going to come to the other end of the 12-inch line. Click. I'm now going to come back up to the top. Click. And now I'm going to finish right here where I began. Click. Hit escape. Now if I turn off my centerline layer, you'll notice what we have here is we have this angled 3-dimensional polyline. Okay, this is exactly what we wanted. I'm going to leave it off for the time being. I'm also going to turn off my control points, my points there off. Alright, now we're ready to do the sweep command. So I'm going to draw a circle. Doesn't matter what plane the circle is in, because remember, sweep does not perform things based on a certain plane. And I want it to have a radius of 1. So I'm going to type 1, enter. There's my circle, and here's my 3D polyline. I'm now going to open up the sweep command by pressing SW. It asks select objects to sweep. I'm going to select the circle. I'm going to hit the enter button, and I'm going to select my sweep path. As you can see, we've got a swept objects in 2D wireframe, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to change it to shades of gray so we can kind of see it. And we have now created the front end of a motorcycle, kind of, sort of. If you'll notice with the UCS in the background, we have that angled line. That's our baseline there. And the sweep went all the way around the 3D polyline and closed everything off. If I turn my layers back on, you'll kind of see what happened. There are my lines that have defined where I'm needed to be. There are my control points that you can see. And this is what we've accomplished. Now this is an example of using sweep. If you want to go back and do some more sweeping options, you can. But this kind of concludes our introduction to sweep. If you have any questions, please go back and listen to this all over again. Try to absorb whatever you may have missed. Or you can ask me a question in class. This concludes the sweep example drawing. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be doing more sweeping here soon.